Everybody, we're doing a video on JasonBlaha today. The gym lifting, recruiting, fitness, gear slave himself, JasonBlaha. Yeah, man, he posted this beautiful video for us to react to. So let's see. JasonBlaha says, "Don't lift heavy weight. Look what happened to Ronnie Coleman." Well, he's the exception, I guess you would call it that. I mean, like I said, concentric exercise does not build muscles, but whatever. I mean, they could do whatever they want. The point is this. Eccentric builds muscles. So what happens? Ronnie Coleman lifted heavier, 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 heavier. Okay. So every time he lifted astronomically heavier, he did get some eccentrics, right? They do adapt and they're protected from getting any more damage from your exercise. And usually your concentric exercise, because that's what everybody does in the gym. They do concentric exercises. So it goes up heavy, but it comes down light. So you're not really getting any eccentric, because if it comes down light, what's the point? Remember, eccentrics, for an eccentric exercise to work, it has to come down at least 2 times heavier than it went up. And that's the problem with people's exercises. It goes up heavy, but comes down a lot lighter than it went up. And it's supposed to go down 2 times heavier. See what I mean? That's why people fail in gyms. They fail in their exercises. They never get the eccentrics. And they really forego the eccentric, really, trust me. They're doing like partial concentrics, really. They don't even want to do any eccentric. Want to know why? Because it's uncomfortable and they don't like to be uncomfortable. If they ever do some eccentrics and they get damaged, they don't like that damage. They get uncomfortable. They don't like DOMs. They don't like this thing lasting for days. They say, "Oh my God, it takes me out from being a lifting slave at the gym. I have to go back to the gym because I have to be a lifting slave 6 days a week lifting." I have to be a performing slave. I have to perform for the other slaves and lift heavy weights in the gym every single day, like all the rest of them. And then look around and look at each other and look how average we look. Look how average we look. And then we just drool when we see like calisthenics guys who do eccentric exercises, right? Calisthenics. They look massively built. How is this possible? They look jacked, bro. My God. But we're lifting in the gym constantly, doing concentric exercise, going nowhere fast, chasing like a dog chasing our tail. For 30 years, we look average still. We look just terrible and aged. And all we were performing slaves. Okay.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about something that is really a ridiculous take that people take, but we need to address it because people don't put it into context.
We do.
And they had this idea, they're like, oh, we shouldn't lift heavy because look what happened to Ronnie Coleman. And for those who are unaware, Ronnie Coleman...
You shouldn't lift astronomically heavy concentrically. You should do more eccentrics if you truly want to change your physique. If you want to change your physique and look great and look good, you want to do a lot of eccentric exercise. Otherwise, you're just going to probably get frustrated and fake it like everybody else. You know, the turkesterons, U2 maxes, the creatines, the powders, the protein powders, the bulk diets, the getting fat, getting skinny constantly. I don't know, blood flow restriction. What else is there? I don't know, inflammation, whatever. Inflaming your muscles constantly, coming to the gym 24 hours, whatever, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Steroids, SARMs, peptides, modulators, whatever, man. Just faking it to make it.
Coleman won half a dozen Mr. Olympias, considered one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Okay.
So Ronnie Coleman was deemed one of the greatest fake bodybuilders of all time that could increase the sarcoplasm the most. That's insane, man.
The guy was also crazy strong, but he
was crazy strong. He injected strength in his body, man. If you put somebody, gave him Anadrol 50, you'd see them fucking benching elephants, bro. Believe me. Anadrol 50 is probably the strongest anabolic, oral anabolic that's out there. That'll make you bench. They even did a test once. I remember seeing these videos a long time ago. I remember them giving some guy an Anadrol 50 and they put him on a bench press and he benched like 500. He was some skinny guy. I think the most he could do was like 225. So they gave him some Anadrol 50. I can't remember how many they gave him on the day. And then they put him back in the gym, and he was benching 500. So there you go. He ate strength, get it, in a pill.
Used bad form on certain lifts, and some people point out, well, he's got nerve damage in his back.
Look, here's fun. This is the funny. Yeah, I know he's nerve damage in his back. He destroyed his back. Look, this is funny, okay? You get these people that lift concentrically, like Blaha. He's lifting concentrically constantly. He just does concentric lifting. And it's not enough that he's already a performing slave concentrically, but he has to inject strength in him called steroids so that he can lift even heavier, perform even heavier concentric lifts. Get it? You know how retarded this is. Here's the thing. With eccentric, you grow with the weight. Eccentric exercises, you grow with the weight. See what I mean? But you don't grow doing concentric exercises. I'll explain this one more time. When you guys go to the gym, all your exercises are concentric. Now, people that do eccentric, of course, we do concentric. Just like you guys are doing some eccentrics, only your eccentrics are going down light. The difference between a guy doing eccentric as opposed to concentric is that he's lifting the weight up a lot heavier than you would normally do, as heavy as you can. You would lift it up in an overload. We call this, let's just call this eccentric overload. So we're overloading our muscles by lifting it up, but not for a concentric, because we can't do it concentrically. It's too heavy. Get it? We only can bring it up so much, partially up, and then we let the load pull us down, but with control. Get it? So we don't damage. We don't fuck ourselves up. That's the whole point. And we do numerous sets and reps. So we do multiple sets, and then we do multiple reps, like of 10 or 12. That's the only difference. That's it. It's that take a genius to figure this out, bro. Get it? And then eventually, at some point, you know, this whole failure thing where these concentric guys, they go, well, we're going to failure. Whatever, man. You want to exhaust yourself, failure, exhausting yourself, aging yourself, whatever. So in an eccentric overload, doing it now without the concentric. Now we're doing it without the concentric because maybe we want to get a little bit more. Maybe when we want to bust through a plateau, we want to get through a plateau, or we just want more of something, and so we forego the concentric because we can't do it. It's just too heavy. We just simply want to do the eccentric now. Get it? Without the concentric because we can't do it. That's all. We just pick a way we can't do for concentric. See what I mean? But eccentric overload training, there's always concentric there because the initiating movement is concentric. But the load going down has to be heavy. Get it? It can't be for a full concentric because if you could do it for a full concentric, if it's going down the weight, it's going down 2 times lighter and it has to go down 2 times heavier. You understand? So Ronnie Coleman, what he did was he just kept going heavier and heavier concentrically. And then eventually he did max out some of these eccentrics because he went much more heavier. His muscles were unaccustomed to doing some of these eccentrics that went with the heavy concentrics. But he didn't build much muscle there, if anything. He built a little bit, because he was focused on the concentric. He wasn't focused on eccentric. See what I mean? And so that's it. And then he just blew up the sarcoplasm. He kept pumping his pumping his muscles to increase the sarcoplasm and look like a bubblehead walking around in the street. Look like a big fat bubble.
There's damage in his spine, and he's gone through all these things.
Damage in his spine and everything because he had a weak body. He never built it strong doing eccentric exercises. Eccentrics are what build your body big and strong so it never gets injured. Get it, dude?
He still trains, and he actually says that he doesn't regret it. He'd do it all again with no problems. But let's set that part aside.
Yeah, sure. He would do it all over again with no problems. Yeah, and destroy himself all over again. Yeah, okay.
A lot of people would be like, well, to me, it's not worth it. I wouldn't want that to happen. But I think
it is not worth doing concentric exercises heavy because it doesn't build your body. Get it, man? It's just useless. Get big and get strong. In eccentric exercise, we get bigger, we get stronger. You understand me? But in concentric exercises, the motto is you get stronger, you get bigger. That's why they're all complaining why they're small, strong guys. Get it? They're like, hey, I got a stronger, but I never got a bigger. Like Blaha, look, he got a stronger, but he never got a bigger.
People miss there is the overwhelming majority of people who lift really, really heavy don't get hurt. Overwhelming majority of people who lift really, really heavy don't get hurt. They don't really get hurt.
That's a lie. People that lift really, really, really heavy always get hurt. Like Blaha, he's always complaining about injuries. Look at all his videos.
that type of weight. I think one coach has said they actually had him do a super strict Pendlay row off the floor. And they said that he had the strongest Pendlay row they had ever tested of a true 1 rep max, 0 torso movement Pendlay from the floor. They said it was about 350.
He wasn't strong, man. That's why he had to take steroids. I don't know. I don't care what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about.
And a lot of people say, oh, that's not that heavy. For a super strict Pendlay row with no movement of the torso, that is crazy heavy. And again, that coach who had worked with a lot of strong lifters said that was actually the best he had an athlete do. I don't remember who his name was, but I remember it from some...
He's not an athlete. He was a drug addict, okay? He wasn't an athlete.
Interview at one point, and he said, no, Ronnie Coleman had the strongest strict Pendlay I've actually had someone try in the gym.
No, he doesn't, because nobody ever tested his strength. They tested him on drugs. They never tested his real strength.
But he successfully did at 350 because it's pretty much the best I've seen.
That's an absolute lie.
So there's your context for that. But that's not what he was doing. He was doing bent over rows. And did anyone see his form? Like, Ronnie used insane amounts of cheating and momentum. Insane amounts of cheating and momentum. Whereas, say, Dorian Yates, who arguably had almost as big of a back, was known for his back, just the generation of bodybuilders before. I mean, a hair smaller than Ronnie, because Ronnie was just slightly bigger, right? And a later generation, more drugs. The drugs always went up with every generation, right? And Dorian did stricter reps with 405. Didn't hurt his back ever doing it. He tore some biceps and other stuff here and there. But he didn't ever hurt his back doing the stricter thing, even with insanely heavy weights, because as someone who has a good back themselves, rows a decent amount of weight, to me, even the idea of a 405 row is ludicrous. I can't even envision
a 405 row, because that's bodybuilding. Yeah.
That, especially doing it strict for sets of 8.
I mean, if you're real bodybuilding, if you're doing it eccentrically, a lot of him, he was cheating. Yeah, he was doing concentric rows. He cheated a lot because he was pumping. He just wanted to pump up his muscle. He didn't realize that concentric exercises do not build muscles. They didn't realize that, and they thought, okay, maybe it magically builds if we take steroids. It doesn't work in the natural world. Lifting concentrically, my muscles are not growing. So, maybe if I take steroids, they'll magically grow. But then he didn't realize that they didn't grow still doing it concentrically, taking steroids. What grew was the sarcoplasm, because he didn't understand that steroids are wasting drugs. They prevent you from wasting away. You understand me? That's their job, to prevent you from wasting away. But what did he do? He took these wasting drugs and then he overloaded his body with carbohydrates, an energy source. So that energy source kept storing in that expanded the volume of the sarcoplasm, getting massively huge, because it does that because you're injecting these wasting drugs. Get it, broski? Get it? And you're continuing in that behavior, concentrically lifting, which doesn't build muscles. If anything, it shortens muscles. So the heavier you go, the shorter the muscles get. That's why these guys get injured. These fake bodybuilders, they get all these injuries, torn this, torn that, before they show up for their shows and everything and whatever. Even Ronnie Coleman was injured so many times, and he fucked up his back and everything. It shortens the muscles, get it? So it's very bad for the contraction on the bone. It's very bad. If you were to do something eccentrically, the contraction now is extremely short. It gets shorter. Here's the thing. You do these concentric exercises. You try to go heavier and heavier and heavier. So your sarcomeres, they get shorter and shorter and shorter. The muscles that stretch, the sarcomeres, right? So they get shorter and shorter and shorter. So you do something now eccentrically that you haven't done before, and you've done it really like there was too much strain. Bam, you're going to get injured, broski. It's going to be painful and it's going to hurt you because you never allowed your body to grow eccentrically. You're too focused on being a lifting gym slave. Get it? Lifting concentrically. Yay.
But that is just inhuman. So, but that was strict. But then Ronnie did cheat rows, and I'm talking he swinged and cheated. Well, guys, it's pretty much repping out 600 pounds with bad form.
Yeah, he did swing and cheat concentrically. That's what he was doing to avoid the eccentrics. See what I mean? Because he was stupid. He doesn't know anything about fucking bodybuilding. None of these fake bodybuilders or any of these people lifting out there know anything about bodybuilding. It's incredible, bro. Nobody, no influencer, nobody. Very few people know anything about real bodybuilding or how to perform it or how to do it or this, that, whatever. Oh, they've seen something and then they bring up something on their channels, you know. But I mean, it's crazy. Very few people out there. I would say 95% of the people do not know about bodybuilding. And the 5% that do, they have a very good idea, but it's not complete.
And when it comes to bad form on things like rows, I want to be clear. People say, well, how can you call it bad form when he got great results?
Look at this. This is concentric. He lifted it and then he just let it drop. If you were to let your arms, let the weight drop like that eccentrically, and you were a concentric lifter, you are going to get injured, bro. You're going to tear muscles everywhere. That's why Callum Valmoger wrecked his arm, wrecked his knee, wrecked everything, because stupid. No eccentric lifting.
Well, because he got hurt and it was bad form. Like, bad form.
Even Bumstead hurt himself. He hurt himself too because didn't do eccentrics. Even what's his name? Larry Wheels tore his fucking bicep lifting these balls or something because eccentrically doesn't do eccentric work. They all do concentric, heavy performing lifting slave work. Get it?
Doesn't make you gain less muscle. Like, form like that, it's not going to make you gain less muscle.
How is it going to gain you muscle? Only eccentrics build muscles, bro.
I mean, doing cheat rows with 500 plus pounds, you're going to have a massive monster.
Man, concentric exercises do not build muscles, bro. Get it? Shit.
Back. I don't care how much you cheat. Right? That is simply going to happen. It's just unavoidable.
Again, they're associated with a loss of sarcomeres in series. Get it? They shorten them to exude more force production.
That's just a ridiculous amount of mechanical tension being placed on those muscles. Even if you...
What mechanical tension? Mechanical tension is reserved for eccentric exercise, okay? I know what you're talking about.
Or to swing it all the way up on the concentric, that eccentric force of just lowering it and catching it alone would create a massive amount of back muscle. To put it.
Yeah, when it came down, it was lighter in the eccentric because some parts of what he's doing is light. The only time it would injure you if it was astronomically heavy, and of course your muscles are now shortened, the sarcomeres. You don't have any muscles. You don't have any muscles to hold the eccentric. It'll cause a tear because it's short. See what I mean? It's short muscle.
Mildly, right? There's something to be said for some eccentric overload. But
yes, there should be something said for eccentric overload. It builds muscles. Blaha, did you know that? Yeah, it does, and it prevents you from being fucking injured like a retard doing heavy concentric lifting. A fool in the gym, get it? You fool.
Does you get hurt? You don't gain less muscle from doing that. You just get hurt. So
I love this one. You don't just gain less muscle from doing that, right? You just get hurt. What are you talking about? Eccentric prevents you from getting hurt, and it builds muscle so you don't get hurt. Duh.
The point here is not because he was lifting heavy. It's because he used sloppy cheat reps.
No. It was because he lifted concentrically heavy. So anytime he got any of these eccentrics, they got in the way, they injured him. Get it? Listen, his back is smashed because the eccentric part, the load going down on the back, his back was weak. He never grew with the weights. That's what happened. He didn't do bodybuilding deadlifts. You understand me? He also didn't do squatting eccentrics, bodybuilding eccentrics, and deadlifting eccentrics, bodybuilding eccentrics. He didn't do them. You understand me? And anytime They got in the way. That's what caused the injuries in his back. Had he done bodybuilding, eccentrics, deadlifting, and squatting, his back would have gotten a lot stronger. Believe me, it would have gotten stronger. It would have gotten stronger because it's regenerative. It's regenerative. You grow with the weight. You don't just go crazy trying to lift concentrically. And then you inject this strength called steroids. And then you lift heavier on a weak body. Oh my God, that's a recipe for disaster. Bones are going to crush. Your cartilage is going to get destroyed. Everything, bro.
While lifting really heavy. It was ego lifting. And that really, truly is ego lifting. Doesn't matter that it works. No.
Yes, I would. Ego lifting? No, he wasn't ego lifting. He thought that lifting that heavy concentric lift was going to build him big and strong. He just got big and puffy is what he really got. And it didn't build him big and strong because he was weak. That's why he's destroyed.
No one's saying ego lifting doesn't build muscle. I hope they're not saying that. No, it's just that it may not build any more muscle and you're just going to get hurt potentially. But the thing,
whatever.
Yes, the other thing to think about if you look at those loads involved, had he used less drugs, had he just been doing, say, the amount of steroids your average gym rat does, would he have ever gained enough muscle to move that type of weight on those sheet rows? Of course not. So would he have still gotten hurt? Probably not. So when it comes to the heavy lifting, people who are not going...
Had he done eccentric bodybuilding, eccentric lifting, then he would not have gotten injured. You understand me, man? Had he built himself big and strong, he would not have gotten injured.
Hard on the drugs, and keeping in mind there's a lot going on there. Not all drugs actually cause those problems. People who are not...
Yes, drugs cause problems. They're toxic. They're toxic. They have a high toxicity level.
Going super hard in the drugs and using the cheat reps and stuff aren't really at the same risk Ronnie Coleman was at. So in other words, if you're natural or a very modestly enhanced user and you use strict form, you're probably never going to get hurt just from going heavy. Not saying it won't happen, but to use that analogy of Ronnie Coleman as a reason people say don't lift heavy because look what happened to Ronnie Coleman. It's like, well, no, don't use giant 55-gallon drums of drugs to grow insane amounts of muscle and then use all of that muscle, which will create massive amounts of strength. A big muscle is a strong muscle no matter what you do. It will make you strong.
Yeah, a big muscle is a strong muscle, but he didn't have big muscles. He had water muscles. Sarcoplasmic muscles is what he had.
And don't do crazy bad form.
If you have sarcoplasmic muscles, it does not make you stronger. It's really simple.
Reps on inhuman amounts of weight. That would be the thing. And the thing is, it's not like he didn't get away with it for a decade. He got away with it for a really long time and before he even got hurt. This is a bad example, guys. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.
I mean, it's somewhat informative, but not informative. I mean, okay, the whole message is don't lift heavy. Okay, don't lift heavy, don't get injured. There you go. I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that, like, subscribe, support the channel, friends. See you in the next video. Don't lift concentrically heavy. Grow with the weights eccentrically. See you in the next one. That's my message.